Hello everybody, my name is Alex Seedhouse from Nintendo Insider, joined by my friends from RPG sites to talk about Zelda, which has already cracked you up, which is great.
It was the way you said your name.
It's just so good.
So I'm joined by another Alex.
Hello.
And Andrea.
Hello.
And we've all played Zelda.
Yes, we have.
Which was pretty great, actually.
Well, it was beautiful. Let's go ahead and get that out of the way.
I was really surprised. I was extremely nervous about this game.
Me too.
And it seems to have, even when you say things like, because they said a lot of this prior to showing it here, of course. Even when you say things like, well, we're going back to Zelda basics, it just sets off alarm bells in my head. And this has actually gone back to Zelda basics.
Yeah, it kind of to me suggested that, the last console Zelda was Skyward Sword. Since that time, we've had 2 remasters, which again kind of shows you that perhaps maybe they're not entirely happy with...
figuring it out, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so breaking that down again and reapproaching it, to be honest, the kind of things they've revealed this week, we've been kind of on the show floor and we kind of missed the Treehouse stuff, which I think really showcased more of what the game has to offer. But from what we've seen, I'm surprised that they've gone the route that they have in terms of, kind of cooking.
I think you get a Zelda game where you cut a bush.
Yeah, grass.
And
well, we both had the same immediate reaction. You turned around immediately after you killed something, and we're like, "Where are the hearts?"
Yeah, you cut a bush, or you kill something, and hearts don't come out.
Yeah,
right.
And a Zelda game where that doesn't happen,
it's weird.
It's strange. A Zelda game where you're cooking stuff and putting that into your. You're using that to replenish hearts or to give yourself damage resistance is a significant difference.
Yeah, and also the actual cooking mechanic itself. There are a lot of recipes you can do. There are the obviously basic kind of ones. There are more advanced ones. You can mix stuff. So there is kind of like meals and potions. There's quite a lot of breadth to what you can do. And I actually went back today to kind of capture some direct feed footage, and I actually sitting back and just watching somebody who's very well versed in the demo, kind of going through it and kind of looking for things. It was really rewarding to kind of actually just watch, him kind of going through it. But he was using kind of the recipe mechanic to the cooking mechanic to kind of produce food that gave him more stamina, which let him climb up higher mountains.
So could he run more at that point?
Yeah, you can run more.
That is cool.
And the way that it works, you obviously eat the food or drink it, potion. And once that happens, you have 2 kind of meters. So there's the stamina meter, which you would have seen when you're sprinting, which I kind of found was kind of quite short. I kind of felt like I had to sprint for a little bit and then stop.
Right.
So here's the thing: if there's a stamina meter, I want to feel like it's worthwhile and like it's not just stopping me from getting somewhere faster. Yeah. So, in Skyward Sword, that was a big issue for me. I always felt like it was solely there to stop me from doing things too quickly.
No, the stamina fruits that was a long time ago. Green stamina fruits, I think they were in.
I don't know. That game was. I really had issues with that game.
I loved it. And
that's the thing. Like when what you say about stamina impacting things like climbing, which is actually a significant mechanic of this game.
Yep.
It makes that whole system feel more worthwhile.
Yes.
That climbing aspect, talking about it, I remember running up a side of the mountain. When she told me I could literally go anywhere, I didn't take it seriously because I'm very used to running halfway up the side of a mountain in Zelda and having like the invisible wall go nope, and you hit a barrier. Yeah. And so I kind of like stopped myself and I was like, I clearly can't go up this anymore. And she was like, no, you're about to hit something more vertical, but you'll just start climbing. And I did. And I went over it, and I went where I wanted to go.
Lest we forget, this is a Zelda game
Open
with
world.
a jump button.
Dun dun dun.
That was it was kind of jarring, and it confused me a little bit. But it was good.
It feels wrong, right? It's like,
certainly in combat. I'm used to kind of Z-targeting and then rolling around an enemy. There doesn't at this point seem to be a roll. You kind of hop around the enemy.
A Zelda game where you don't get across the overworld by rolling over and over again.
I know, you can't.
I think that was the most jarring. Like that was the hardest part of the learning curve. is because I've already played so many Zeldas. I
Yep.
couldn't break myself from I immediately I saw some water I wanted to jump over, so I immediately just ran into the freezing water and died because I expected Link to automatically jump, and that was
Yep.
the most difficult.
And that's the
part
other thing,
of the learning
from the
curve.
perspective of an RPG website.
Right.
We've covered Zelda for a long time because it's what the readers have wanted, which is fair enough, even though it isn't technically an RPG, because it is. There's
The
equipment,
gear, numbered gear.
weapons.
I'm not used to that in Zelda.
like numbers which tell you how much damage a weapon is doing.
Right.
It's far more an RPG than it's ever been.
Yes. I wonder. I mean, a long time ago there was kind of AJ Onuma there was kind of stories about him kind of looking at Skyrim. Obviously, I don't think this game is particularly Skyrim orientated.
I think you can see it though.
You could see the scale of it.
I think you can see it.
The actual lay of the land.
It's the go anywhere aspect of it, and I don't mean that in the sense of look at that mountain, you can go there. I mean that in
Xenoblade.
regard of there's a certain feeling the game evokes,
Yeah.
which is similar to Skyrim. I feel like.
That go anywhere thing, though, I think brings us to that point of it was during our demo where I kept mentioning I wanted to see the end game part that we were talking about. You can go directly to the end game.
Yep.
And so the PR rep that was with us for that, she had us do this thing with the camera where we looked way far off in the distance
And marked it, yeah.
and we marked it, and we
Yep.
could pull up our map and see how far that thing off
And
in
it
the
was-
distance
it was pretty far.
That
Yeah.
was amazing
But-
because it seems much closer than it really is, and then you actually look at the map and that thing's on the
But
other
also,
side.
there's that aspect of as long as the game follows through on this promise,
Right.
that you can, if you wanted to, just take the time to walk there, and
Yep.
presumably you would see the final boss of the game, but it would just smash you, or not necessarily the final boss, but maybe you would get ravaged by the tornado.
But
Or
to
whatever.
me, what I kind of found was as soon as after the opening cutscene, which I don't know if that'll be the final cutscene, but kind of introduced that Link has been asleep for 100
Well,
years.
That was
I asked about this, and they said they wouldn't, but they basically wouldn't be drawn on whether it was the opening cutscene.
Yeah, I mean, it was, to be fair, it was very short.
Yes.
Like, it was
It
literally
was.
like,
It was
we're
very
talking
short.
minutes rather than, I mean, we used to kind of,
It almost felt too short.
yes,
I guess.
it
Right.
felt like kind of like,
Unfinished.
it felt like kind of like a teaser. Like they're giving you a couple of key points about the story, and then literally just shoving you into Hyrule and saying, "Right, off you go."
It felt like when just walking through that beginning area that we are looking at the ruins of something that was much more technologically advanced.
Yeah,
Than you're used to in Zelda.
Right.
Yeah.
Like it's the remnants of some society that existed much greater than what you are at right now. Like there was
Yeah.
some kind of great fall. And they do say in the opening of what we saw 100 years ago, the Calamity, was it
Yeah.
Ganon?
Calamity Ganon,
The
yeah.
Calamity
Ganon,
Ganon,
yeah,
which was
which is-
cool. And then there's this big black swirl
yeah,
that
swirling around,
comes.
which
Looks
I
like a
imagine is
tornado.
like,
And it had
yeah.
like little, it looked like eyes and like
Looks like a little pig.
ears.
Yeah.
And it's like, the story stuff we saw, it's like, I think people are
All
going to
little
anticipate that voice is probably Zelda.
Yeah.
Right.
Because there's the indication in the way the cutscenes are built that voice is coming from the castle.
Right.
And that Ganon is surrounding the castle.
Yeah. This is another point though. There's actually voiced dialogue.
Yes.
Which was very good.
Now, you had a
I
theory
liked-
about this earlier, where you said...
Let's hear it. I don't think
Well,
I
hear
heard
it.
it.
saying
I
is-
mean, they said that obviously there's voice dialogue in the trailer, which everyone's heard, but they've also said that it's not a fully voiced game. It's not like we're going to go into this and then every single character's going to be like, "Oh, hi."
And even in the demo, you have voice in this opening stuff, but then...
Their character, well, a character.
Yeah.
5 minutes
Yeah.
later, you're in a different bit, and
But
there's no voice.
every time that voice speaks to you, which so the demo I had yesterday was me kind of playing myself. Today I had a longer session, kind of just watching somebody kind of playing through it.
Right.
I saw far more today, and every time there was an instance where that voice kind of interacted with you, it was voiced.
It was a
So
significant cutscene.
That the kind of subtitles of the game, Breath of the Wild. I wonder if that has some kind of context with actually the voice itself. But
Going,
I don't know.
The lore aspect that we're talking about, Alex mentioned, like
Yep.
while we were playing, that the lore is something that you can kind of get lost in. And the PR rep and I were like just kind of back and forthing and speculating on who this old man is.
the girl who gave us the demo
Yeah.
Right.
was extremely
This
enthusiastic about Zelda.
Right.
And she herself was speculating that, oh, well, the old man. There's an old man in this demo. Is clearly the same sort of spirit as the owl.
Gabora.
And that sort of stuff.
From
So,
Ocarina.
But also the King of Hyrule has a very bushy beard.
Right,
that's like Wind Waker.
I was like King of Red Lions. Maybe?
Yeah.
and
I don't
then
know.
there's some stuff in this that's Wind Waker related that some people on NeoGAF and Jealous to
So-
Gaff and the like have
Well,
taken to be.
So the kind of thing, I mean, you start off, Link kind of awakens in a kind of what they call a resurrection chamber.
Right.
And then the kind of way you're guided to initially is a tower that kind of pops up in the land, which you awaken in a sense, and that's a resurrection tower. So I wonder whether as you're progressing through this game, what you're actually doing is basically resurrecting Hyrule from the dormancy. The land. When Link was put to sleep, I think the kind of
that's
story
happened
kind of.
before.
And an interesting thing about that is they kept saying over and over again, yes, there will be towns in the game,
Yeah,
but
not in this demo.
and I wonder if as you restore stuff,
Yeah,
towns will pop up.
Yeah.
Sort of like how it's a weird example, but in The Witcher 3,
Yeah,
if
because-
you clear an encampment, Geralt will meditate, and then 2 or 3 days will pass while you meditate, and then a town will be there.
yeah.
Now, did she mention though, like in the demo, there's something about you have to get that? I forgot what it was. There was something that revealed that small chunk of the land, or else if you go to the end of that area where you're at, you can't progress without.
I think that was more to do with stuff on the demo.
Was it just the demo
They-
exclusively.
I just looked it up. That's the thing. So there's allegedly Koroks in this demo somewhere. I didn't
Which
see.
I didn't find.
I didn't
Which
see it.
Koroks are the leaf people that
Right.
from Wind Waker, and so if
Makar.
yeah, here we go. So
Yeah,
if that's the
cello.
case,
It's my
then
favourite.
that puts this definitively in a timeline,
Right. Which all of them lie on.
and that lends something to the ruined Hyrule thing, because you can imagine
Wind Waker.
it drains, and then you have
Yeah.
what is left, right?
I mean,
And it's definitely Hyrule as we know it, because there is Death Mountain visible,
Right.
yeah. I mean,
same as ever.
I'm just glad that they. I mean, I've seen some people on Twitter kind of getting a bit angry that they're kind of revealing too much. People who start watching Treehouse, but
But I still feel like I know nothing.
I know.
Right.
I feel like I know so little. I've unlike obviously many people who haven't been able to travel to E3 and actually play it. We've had the chance to do so, and I feel like having spent over the last 2 days over an hour with it, I know more obviously, but not anything near what I would want. Be satisfied with. I looked across the actual land, the landscape.
I did
You've got
too.
Death Mountain in the distance. When I played it yesterday, I just saw Death Mountain. And I was like, oh well, it's a regular thing on the the skyline. Today when we went through, we actually ran in a completely different direction across the area that we were allowed to play in, and we actually looked at it from a different angle, and there was like a guardian, kind of the
spidery
kind of,
thing.
the spidery kind of
Yeah.
octopus
They're
type
everywhere.
thing. It was
Really?
actually like on the side of the mountain,
Like a
but
big one.
given how far away you are from the mount, I guess it's a volcano rather than a mountain.
Well,
Seeing that from that far away and being able to actually see it on the side of the mountain, I was like, well, hang on a minute. Like, well, what's that? And you look over to the other side, there's like actually a kind of like an island in the sky. And I'm like, well, how am I going to get there? Because obviously at the moment, we only really have seen Link himself running around shield surfing. You found the shield
I did
surf?
that.
it
took me a little bit.
I mean,
What surprised me though is, the last time we saw this game was the Game Awards 2015. No, 14?
I don't think it was there
ages
last
ago,
year.
yeah.
So,
2014.
right.
And that kind of demonstration was all about Epona. Here's Epona. Epona went running into trees because horses don't do that.
it's Epona.
Epona.
It's
Epona.
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 It's Epona.
Really?
Epona.
It is. If you listen to the
We'll let the internet decide.
if you listen to the official vocal version of the song, it's Epona.
Epona.
But is that official?
It is. It's
Okay.
published by Nintendo.
Okay, that's right.
But anyway, yeah, I agree. Like, they're showing far more traversal stuff that isn't
Yeah.
on a horse, which is interesting.
Well, I wonder whether they purposely didn't put Epona
Epona.
in the.
Epona? Oh, God.
Anyway.
I can't say it myself now. Anyway.
The
horse.
They put that in in the demo because they want people to actually just run around, climb, do all the kind of things that we didn't know would be in the game. The
Right.
climbing.
Well, also they were clearly very skittish about any of us going too far.
But what's
Yeah.
cool though is that you look around because as you walk in, to the scale of this booth is huge. There were 30 setups. Everybody had such a
I think
different
there's-
experience though. There's
Yeah,
more than
because
30.
it was like this weird
it's
Skyrim sort of thing of just,
Incredibly open
well,
world.
here you go, and you walk
Yeah.
in whatever direction you like. And
So
I
some of
turned
the
around.
stuff-
Well, I turned around while you were playing, and the guy that was playing behind you was in a completely different area, doing
Right.
a completely different thing, and I was
Yep.
like, okay.
So I didn't see half the stuff
Mm-hmm.
that you saw.
Yeah.
Maybe you didn't see some of the stuff I saw, which
Yeah.
which is cool that we can play this very short demo. We were timed. We had 10 minutes for one and 15 for the other.
Yeah,
Or something
something
like
like that.
So and we all had such drastically different experiences in such a small
Yeah.
amount of time.
It's that freedom though. I mean, we're so used to starting a Zelda game and literally
There's-
going through a kind of a tutorial
right.
section because Nintendo is all about someone who's never playing, having played Zelda, being able to actually just get to grips with it.
Yeah.
Whereas everybody else is like, oh,
Can I do
tutorial.
this again?
But this, well, that was because that was what killed me. Skyward Sword. It went on for so.
It's very
And
long.
I got so
Unnecessary
irritated
long.
with Fi interrupting you with
I
some
did
kind
too.
of
And her fire voice.
yeah. I mean, as a story, I really enjoyed Skyward Sword.
I did love Skyward Sword,
but in terms of as a game, I think there's so much held it back.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm glad that they kind of have gone back to a point where they're like, right, what can we do now? Let's reset. Let's kind of reevaluate what we're doing with these games. And whilst we've had 2 remasters, that's kind of bought them the time to basically approach this. And they're saying it's their biggest ever game they've made.
I think it is like you look at the map. Like at one point, the girl had me.
It's huge.
Had me zoom out the map, and I'm gonna go ahead and say it looks as big as the GTA 5 map.
But what's crazy is I'm used to Hyrule being such a small little map
Mm-hmm.
that it was Hyrule felt like the area we were at.
But what's interesting
one
is
chunk.
when you looked at the map, when you looked at the horizon,
Yep.
Hyrule seemed to be broadly the same size
As previous
to scale, in that Death Mountain seemed to be quite close
Yeah.
to Hyrule Castle,
Right.
the same way it was in. And one thing to Nintendo's credit is they have been extremely consistent with that across the course of all those games. So, for instance, if you look at Wind Waker's map, you can see. Wind Waker's map, I believe it's if you rotate it, it will then sit perfectly on top of the Ocarina of Time map, and you're like, oh, everything is in exactly the same place. At least
Right.
the left-handed version, everything is in exactly the same place it was before. And the same for Wind Waker. You can see where Death Mountain is, or Dragon Roost as it is in that game.
Yep.
And if you then use that in relation to everything when you go down under the sea,
Yep.
it all relates, and it seems like that's the case here. So it seems like maybe we'll get the same sort of area and then a whole lot else outside that,
Yep.
which is interesting.
Yeah, and Amy kind of said there's some kind of twist to Zelda's world, Breath of the Wild's world, and that's what he said a while back. And I don't know with this kind of E3 reveal we've actually seen that twist yet.
Well, I wonder if the twist just isn't less about what the world is itself and more about how Link navigates that world.
Right.
Right.
And the fact that this is this big open thing that you can go anywhere and do anything in. Because that is a twist. That is something they have never done before.
I mean, the only thing I kind of felt with the demo was it felt quite sparse.
Yeah.
But not in a...
It felt like there was odd.
And you and I spoke about the
lag.
controls and the animation a little
Right.
bit.
Maybe it didn't
Yeah.
respond appropriately as I told it to.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think
Very early. Not
It's-
the same hardware.
it's. Yeah, I feel like even if that control stuff and animation stuff doesn't quite stack up, so I think that the scope of the world could prove really interesting.
Right.
But it's also what we haven't seen. You know, the problem with them showing at E3 is that they've kind of they've started the drip feed of the marketing.
Yeah.
You know, it's not coming out until 2017. They've said NX is coming out in March, but they haven't specified that Zelda will be coming out at launch. They've just said it's coming out in 2017.
I think one has to infer that, because if they don't do that, then something has gone seriously wrong.
And why am I buying an
yeah.
X?
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
There'll be other games, I'd hope.
But also then they'd be
Splatoon?
they would be launching a major Wii U game after the NX has already been out.
Right.
And also the Wii U schedule is very, very dry now. There's 3 or 4 games coming out this year, and it's
dead.
yeah.
It's done.
I'd hope it was at launch, but their lack of not saying it's coming out in March 2017 indicates to me that they want to give themselves the room to be. Oh, we never specified March.
But I also think that's not necessarily about wiggle room around Zelda as much as it is wiggle room around
NX.
Yeah, right. I think Zelda's probably on track for a specific time, but they don't want to commit to any specific hardware date in case that doesn't come off, which is fair.
But in terms of what you saw, though, did you see anything that concerned you that you thought didn't work quite as well?
Well, I mean, you know, we just touched on briefly, you know, the camera, not the camera, the control jank.
Right.
Yeah.
That was a big deal.
And it was a wee bit, like, you know, it wasn't a tiny bit, you know, frustrating in elements. I mean, you saw me fall off a building and die.
Yeah.
Which was hilarious.
Was that the tower? Because I fell off that about. There's a video of me.
You two aren't the
Because
first.
you complained about it in detail, and I laughed at you. And then the very next day, I went
Not even
to
that.
exactly the same appointment and died in exactly the same way.
He
So-
pulled his weapon out and jumped out.
So I don't understand. See, but basically in the demo there is a tower which you activate with the Sheikah Tome, I think it's called, which is this kind of book that you will see in the artwork that Link carries around. You activate it. The entire kind of
It lifts
Hyrule
up.
rumbles,
It
and then
lifts
this
up.
tower comes.
The tower
up.
lifts up, and then you have to climb down the tower, and the steps are like steps with gaps in between.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So it's like
It's
a bunch. It's
hard.
like separate platforms, and you have to basically just jump between the two. And I have to say, it is pretty easy. But I died, I think, 3 times.
Holy.
Like,
Wow.
and the demo's timed, so I was like, oh, this is embarrassing.
You know,
She
you can climb
she actually
down
went to me.
too.
She actually went
Yeah.
to me like, okay, now get the camera like this, and I was like, I was getting angry, like, going, I shouldn't have to get a camera like this.
Yeah.
The camera should just work.
I do wonder why it's not just kind of a slope. You know, you can just run down.
Right.
Because how much more fun would it be if you could just jump on your shield and kind of just go down it as a kind of a helter skelter?
But I didn't have a shield at that.
That is something a little more that
I did.
irritated me too. Was the shield thing? It took me forever. A
But
couple times to
but
get
also
that jank to work.
that's telling. You know, you didn't have a shield then, but I did. Oh, rather,
Yeah.
I didn't, but you did.
Yeah.
And
Right.
you know, and yeah, the shield. It's A then X, right? And
was
then
there like there was a solid minute that I wasted trying to jump on that shield to go down a hill.
yeah, and it wouldn't let you.
And she was very convinced that this is how I needed to get down this hill so I could experience it, which I wanted to. But after about my 10th time of screwing up the jump of trying to go down the hill, I
think
was
it's
just like, I'm gonna run down this.
I think it's those classic Nintendo things though, of like just tiny little things
There
that
are
drive you,
niggles there.
drive you
I
crazy.
can see.
Yeah.
I mean, this game was originally like going to come out at the end of last year.
Right.
We're now midway through
2016, yeah.
and it's coming out in 2017. And you know, I'm a bit, you know, I kind of think, oh, it's a shame it's not coming out for the anniversary. But as with other games that have been played recently, you know, I'd rather they take the time to make sure it was the best it could be, rather than try and hit a release date just because people need something to play.
100%.
And I think the industry has shifted to that point where they, you know, rather than putting a game out early just to get sales and disappoint people, they would rather disappoint people by delaying it.
I think Nintendo is in a position where they can't afford to do that. Really.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
They've had a rough couple of years.
now it's a dual release as well, that it's coming on both consoles.
That's the thing I'm very curious about, because it's like, well, that was one thing I noticed in that demo. Take from it what you will, but the gamepad was absolutely useless.
Right. It just showed the controls the entire
It
time.
literally just showed you A jump, Y jumps, X does this.
the E3 demo builder showed you a picture of the controller and what the controls were.
I would have much rather had a Pro controller.
Which is interesting because all the rumor reports you've heard about the NX seem to suggest that it would have a more
like a map or something. Somebody actually asked
seems
me
to
when I was
suggest
talking.
that it would. Yeah.
Well,
when I was on Twitter talking about it, though, somebody was like, "Can you take a picture like of the map support and the inventory support or something on the gamepad?" And I was like, "Oh,
It's weird
there is
because
none."
it's weird because beautiful. It's weird because Wind Waker and Twilight Princess both have some implementation of the gamepad.
Right.
And
it's good.
And when they showed Breath of the Wild at the Game Awards, they actually showed the gamepad where there was a map on there, and they zoomed out on it and said, "Oh, look, you can go everywhere, and here's me putting a pointer down."
Which possibly suggests that there is no.
I wonder whether I wonder whether the game is now pushing the hardware so much that they can't afford to.
To split off that overhead.
Because as much as the art style is beautiful, the game itself. There's a few frame rate stuff.
But you said like that intro when you walk out into the trees. And it's like it is a beautiful scene, but then you stop and look at the trees and kind of go.
The trees just look very kind of.
They were struggling a little bit. That's what I told someone else that we're here with, that it felt like it was a beautiful game on the wrong hardware.
Yeah, but I think this is what we've shifted to now, where. I think people who are a bit annoyed about, there's not been a console exclusive Zelda game for the Wii U.
For this generation.
For this generation. That now moved to a point where NX, I think, is going to be the console everybody wants to play it on, because it's just going to be more.
Oh well, it becomes we have been through this with Twilight Princess, right? Nobody wanted to really play Twilight Princess on the GameCube.
Although it's worth a lot of money these days.
It is. I have a sealed copy.
No.
But the flip side of that is also Twilight Princess TP is also short for toilet paper, which is what Twilight Princess is.
Oh no, that's a bit harsh.
I really don't like Twilight Princess.
Did you see talking of Twilight Princess though? Did you see the Wolf Link?
We did. Support.
Yes, we did play with the amiibo support, and that was cool.
That was
I
really
actually said to the PR rep who was guiding us, I was like, "See, now I've got to buy a Wolf Link amiibo."
Yeah. Oh, well, that was the first time I was talking to the other PR rep sitting beside me, and I was like, "Now my amiibo, maybe I'll open one finally instead of."
Did they show you?
Collect them.
Or were you told about any kind of interaction with the wolf though, in terms of how you can command it, or did you just?
You just sort of followed me around.
I played with the wolf link out, and really all I did was just run and attack other things around me.
Yeah.
I accidentally blew him up at one point, so there is friendly fire. Threw a bomb on him. But that is cool that
animal abuse.
That it's not just like I'm like Hyrule Warriors. I'm tapping this once a day to unlock something stupid.
To unlock something completely worthless.
Which completely irritated me by this freaking $12 figure, and all it does is unlock bombs or something. But this is cool. This is like another character in the game. Like it's like I have a tiny party going on, which you don't really get in Zelda. It's always Link and maybe an escort mission.
Yeah, so when I saw it today, I said that I hadn't had a chance to see the amiibo yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
So, what are you looking at? Oh well. And so he kind of went through that, and he obviously scanned it in. Wolflink appears. That's pretty cool. Again, the art style on Wolflink, works.
It looks really nice, actually.
So, what are you going to do with the other amiibo? It makes me look, because it would be weird to have Scan Ganondorf in and he follows you around, but.
Yeah. But the thing that he showed me there was how you could command Wolflink. So you could actually say,
I didn't do that.
Stay there. So Wolflink will stay where you tell him to, and then wherever you are, you can then whistle, and then Wolflink just comes charging over from wherever he is to you. And it takes time, obviously. It's not like kind of.
I wonder if they will ever address that in any way in the lore.
What, that Wolflink's in the game?
Yeah, I wonder if there will be any acknowledgement
on the timeline. There's just like little
whatsoever
trees that branch off with amiibo.
Well, it's one of those things where obviously we're at a point where they've started the marketing rollout for this game. We're starting to learn a few things until we know more, especially where it's positioned in the timeline.
That is cool. With that.
I asked about that, and PR was like,
"Yeah,
not talking about it," which I think means. You know, we don't know.
Yeah.
Japan hasn't told us.
So yes, that was cool.
That's good.
And then also went into, so there's these 100 shrines that are scattered around Hyrule, which supplement the dungeons.
Speaking of, what is cool about that is you can mark your map yourself, and I love that. Like Atrian Odyssey and stuff like that does it, where you can like, as you go, you put these unique markers on your map yourself to make your map yours and more personable.
I really like that because a lot of games you get within a proximity of something, and it's like, oh, we marked it on your map.
Right.
This game,
it's your duty.
You
mark it,
and it makes it your map a little bit more. It feels like more of an adventure. And I turned to the PR and I was like, man, this game should ship with a paper map.
Yeah,
that would be really cool.
But the actual tome itself, the Sheikah tome, is quite interesting in the way that that's used. Do you not like the name?
Something off camera.
The Sheikah tome is
it's
that's another thing that interests me, because we talked about earlier about how the gamepad does nothing, and yet that's a gamepad device that looks exactly like the gamepad.
Right.
And I'm like,
with the amiibo
what the hell is going on here?
Right. Well, they don't know either.
I just wonder whether this demo build we've had just didn't have the gamepad in it because they didn't want to show it yet. But then at this point, you kind of think they probably would have put it in.
Maybe you don't show it because that would give away too much.
Which is interesting, though, that Nintendo, whenever you're recording it, they do make you keep the gamepad in the frame, which I get because they've done that in the past.
I mean, that was ironic. That was extra ironic with this particular setup, because
I wouldn't want that gamepad in my frame
because there's nothing on it.
Yeah. But I started recording like that, and they said, "Oh, you don't have to keep it in the frame."
Oh.
But weirdly, you saw exactly the same PR person I did, and I saw them a day later. And when I asked them, they said, "Yes, it has to be in the frame."
Right.
You didn't follow the instructions.
So I don't know. I think even that.
Well, no, that's what I was told, and we did it, and then somebody who was kind of looking after that area of the booth, which is kind of separate to the
upstairs,
part the upstairs part. Somebody who was kind of manning that kind of came over and said, "Oh, no, you don't have to do that. Just as long as the person's in the shot." And I was like, "Really?" So luckily it was the midway through because there's two sections to the demo. One's kind of more explorative, get used to everything,
and one's the story section.
And one's kind of like, here's teasing the story, go and have fun, whatever. So that was...
You're gonna have fun, whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
That's the new Nintendo.
Put that on the back of the box.
Yeah,
that can be a quote on there. That can be my review quote.
Nintendo Insider.
Yeah, go and have fun, whatever.
That's nice.
Yeah.
From NintendoInsider.com. But yeah, I mean, in a weird way, it's still one of my favourite games of the show.
Yeah, I mean, it's been winning. It's been winning kind of game of the show awards.
I think deservedly so.
But I mean, in terms of what you've seen, though, in terms of a broader, because obviously I'm very Nintendo centric. Mm-hmm. You've been about seeing different publishers.
Yeah, and I think that's why I say a game of the show as opposed to the game of the show.
Mm-hmm.
But also, it was definitely the game wherever I went throughout the show. That was the game that caused the most buzz.
And what we had this conversation on the show floor. They did what Bethesda did, which is what I think
they focused down.
Right, and I mean,
Bethesda still had more stuff, but really this year was about Dishonored for them.
Absolutely, and I think more publishers should follow that, because that seems to work better. Because as we talked about, people were speculating, oh, it's just gonna be Zelda, which means they're gonna have this tiny little sliver in the corner, and we don't hear anything out of them, and it's gonna be a very tiny show for Nintendo where we don't learn anything.
Hell, I remember Skyward Sword year, sorry, and the booth having like a 2-hour wait or 3-hour wait for Skyward Sword, but then it felt like 25% of the booth being Golden Sun, which it breaks my heart to say nobody wanted to play.
Right.
And so the focus on Zelda allowed them. I think our PR rep told us that they had like 140 stations.
I was way off than what I thought.
Which is well, it's because she said to us like, oh well, there's 60 for part 1, and then 80 for part 2 or something. It was something in that
And
region.
the line around that convention was still insane.
Yeah. It was.
Well, I mean, the fact that queue, everybody was running to it straight away, and then within 15 minutes, they have a queue that's 6 hours long.
And how huge
it's crazy.
It was the same size as theirs last year.
But you kind of think about where Nintendo's position is in the industry at the moment. They've got a home console that's, by all accounts, not done very well. But they can still attract such a large queue for a game that, yes, it's going to
think
MX,
there's a sense of prestige and history to it, though, right?
Right.
Yeah. And also because it's such a dramatic shift away from just being not a standard adventure, but just being kind of the same format, where you're going through dungeons, you pick up an item, let's go into the next dungeon where it becomes integral to it. Carry on.
It's been a long time, Wii Sports, since Nintendo put out a game that changed the landscape, and I think a lot of people are hoping that game will be it again.
Yeah.
That game will be as...
Well, the thing is, we today, Miyamoto said that there's a new kind of Mario game coming as well. So I wonder if they're at a point now where they're trying to be a bit more, do I say unexpected? They like to try and surprise people with what they're doing.
Mario for iOS.
Maybe.
It's probably coming, to be fair, but
Yeah, no,
I'm only being facetious when I say that, but it probably is also coming as well as the console stuff.
Yeah, I'm sure. But yeah, so we don't know masses amount about the game, but certainly I think the initial impressions are fairly positive.
Well, I came out of it, I went from being slightly bummed about I don't want to be rude when I say this, but the state of Skyward Sword, which I thought was a really, really messy game. Mm-hmm. Great ideas, but messy.
Yep.
To skeptical about this game, to extremely, extremely interested and excited in this game. Yeah. And I think that's the best possible thing I can say about it, really.
Yeah, I was very anxious about what it would be like. That there's so much weight on it now that especially because this year it was their only playable game. Mm-hmm. That would people even be interested in going to their booth and trying it? So the queues are encouraging. The actual game itself is encouraging. I think there's lots of positive things in there. But I still think there are things obviously they're not telling us, and that's just part of their...
It's the marketing strategy.
They don't want to show all their cards too early. But certainly there's enough there that actually got me really, really excited for it.
Yeah. So, well, fingers crossed, eh?
Fingers crossed.
I have some serious high hopes for this game.
We'll wait the next Nintendo Direct.
Well, we'll see them, in...
We'll learn something.
3 months, maybe, I guess.
Yeah.
Or thereabouts. But yeah, so, it was a significant E3 for you, I guess, in that regard.
Yeah, and just done 2017 as well. So, so much to be excited for Nintendo Next. 2 games so far. So
Just Dance?
Yeah, Just Dance 2017.
More excited for Just Dance.
Yeah.
But,
that's the game that we all want, That's the
Day one.
The industry
Day
changer.
One. Yeah.
I look forward to seeing you dancing around with a Wii Remote or your cell phone, indeed. I went to Ubisoft today and watched people dancing with their cell phones and thought...
Were you jealous?
I wanted to die. It was primarily what I thought. And then I thought, maybe I shouldn't die, maybe everybody else.
And that's why you're such a fine specimen of a man.
Well,
Well, I guess one thing we haven't talked about is the booth.
That's cool. We should probably just briefly touch on
that.
The
weather changed in the booth.
It was beautiful.
It was on a cycle where...
Right.
Well, basically, you see the initial kind of trailer, which is the one that they first showed on...
Open your eyes.
Open your eyes.
Wake up.
Wake up. It's the one that everyone saw straight away on Tuesday. They showed that, but with more things in it. Mm-hmm. So capture that, look at it on the channel. And then, as with the kind of Harry Potter experience in London, they open up this kind of gate that kind of goes up. So it's not the Great Hall in Hogwarts, but it goes up and you kind of walk into the actual booth. And the scale in the booth, though, I was told they've basically made it life-size in the sense that if you were Link,
everything else, that's what they said to
us. How big
everything would be.
Which those goblins are way bigger than I thought.
Yeah. So I assume that Link is 6 feet tall then, because those goblins felt a bit tall. I'm 5'8", and those goblins felt a bit tall.
Right.
Yeah, but I liked it. I loved the day-night cycle.
Yeah,
that they did.
There's thunder and lightning.
The
There's
thunder
like the
almost
weather and stuff as well.
Scared me to death.
We were like halfway through our demo and the thunder went off and we were like, oh.
I jumped.
Yeah, and we had to like, you know.
Yeah, it's a really impressive booth. I mean, it's that gamble that they took where they only had one playable game. I think it worked off because it was Zelda. Like, if they had like a...
I wonder if other companies might not look at Nintendo's E3 this year and go, maybe we should actually be doing this.
But it was like 2K, like their booth was pretty much like
Their
Mafia
booth,
3, wasn't it?
well, their booth was concise. It was 75% Mafia and then 25% Civ, and that was precisely what it needed to be.
Yeah, and Capcom, the kind of house they had was Resident Evil 7.
Yeah.
So there's a
That
lot
was
of booths
cool.
out there that focused on one game.
Yeah.
Obviously, they just had other games as well.
But so did Nintendo, to be fair. It was just all on their stream.
Yeah, it was just on the stream.
But it was a beautiful booth, and I think it speaks to the strength of Nintendo IPs. You could certainly... their theme parks are going to be good.
Yeah.
It's in Japan though. That's the shame.
Well, we'll go.
There you go. You've got to pay to go out.
Yeah, we'll
Gotta
go.
get that
We'll go on a
hot-
trip.
Exclusive.
Got to get that hot video content for the Nintendo Insider readers and watchers.
Right. Okay.
Hot stuff.
Oh my god.
Well, anyway, this is.
That's it.
Yeah, I'm pretty tired. This is Thursday now.
This is
We've had-
Thursday,
this is the
and
end of
we're
E3.
exhausted.
Time to go to
You've
bed.
probably seen a fair bit of yawning in this across the course of this podcast, video cast. No,
Yeah.
definitely me.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I think I feel more positive about Nintendo. I was a bit disappointed that Nintendo X wasn't there, but I feel a bit more positive about what they've
Right.
done this week and that it's in the. They're going in the right direction. I think it's just wanting to know what Nintendo X is and then having to start talking.
gotta be patient, my friend.
I will be
We'll
patient.
see
be
it. We'll see it
patient,
soon.
But it's 9 months till it's supposed to launch, and that is crazy to me that they haven't started talking about it. Crazy.
I think it's crazy and worrying to me because like it could be announced and then 6 months later the Scorpio could come in like
Yeah, but I think for me it's the opportunities they're missing. Like Gamescom is the biggest consumer show,
Right.
and it may not even be
and it may not even be there.
Yeah.
So if they want to actually get people to try it out, they do their tours come across the UK and I'm sure in other countries as well, where people can go and basically get hands on and try it out. But in terms of actual event, the gaming calendar where people can go along, play it, Gamescom is the big one to be at. And if they don't reveal it before that, I would be worried on their part
and disappointed.
and disappointed.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I feel like they aren't helping themselves.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. But I think it was sensible not to do it at E3. With everything that's been going on with Neo, Scorpio.
It was a risky time to do that.
But certainly I think if they leave it much longer, that's going to start damaging them.
I think Zelda probably would have benefited by being shown on the NX first, but they couldn't wait any longer
Yeah.
to show Zelda, so I understand. And I think what they showed looked great.
Yeah.
I think the key now is that whatever they show after this looks just as strong on the NX as it did on the Wii U, because it does look beautiful for a Wii U game.
I wonder whether the next time we see it though is that they want to actually have the Wii U version at E3 to kind of show people what it looked like at this point, and then the next time we see it we're going to see the NX version and you're going to be like right.
Well, my hope is it looks more like when we saw that Skyrim remaster trailer, and my reaction was like, I expected it to look the same but a little bit sharper, and then when that
Right.
trailer went on, I was like, oh it actually looks significantly different.
Yeah.
Almost not the same area.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think as when they revealed Breath of the Wild at E3 and Nintendo Direct, the digital event as it was, and Aiden had clicked his fingers, and there it was. And it was like, I don't think that the game itself at the moment looks as good as that reveal was. It's still a gorgeous game, but it's not quite that.
But the scope
promise.
seems significant.
The scope is there, but I wonder whether the NX version is the one that's going to be able to deliver on that promise. And that's what's going to sway people to be like, right, well, I really need to play that version.
I really, really hope so at any rate.
Yeah.
Like,
Cool.
Right,
Okay.
Well,
let's go to bed.
Done. Good night.
Thank you for listening.
yeah, thank you for listening to Alex, and Andrea.
All the A's. All of the A's.
Triple A.
Triple A podcast.
It is a triple A Oh no. It's going to have to become a regular.
That's our new-
We should actually set that up. Should be a regular podcast now.
Triple A podcast.
It's too good a name to pass up.
Let's do that. Okay.
Oh god.
But,
Trademark that.
Yeah, thanks for talking through Zelda, and I hope you see more content like this.
Yeah, definitely. I'm always happy to do it with you guys.
Right.
So, from RPG side and Nintendo Insider.
Yeah.
Nintendo Dash Insider.
Dash Insider. God damn the Dash.
Good night.
Don't forget the Dash.
Yeah.
Good night. Happy E3.
It's over.